Hello, this is going to be your week 1 video for Ed 310. So I will always start on our home screen and kind of navigate through what you'll have to navigate through for the week. So if you go in to your weekly content folder, right now all you should see is week 1. The others will appear either Sunday or Monday for that week. So right now all we have is our week 1. Let's go ahead and take a step back and look at our learning outcomes for this week. So this week you guys are going to be working to understand the requirements and expectations of this course. This is a 300 level course, typically in your junior year, so there's quite a bit that goes along with it, and in particular your field experience. You will create an interactive notebook that you will use to extend your thinking from the book studies into the field experiences. You will summarize the growth mindset and reflect on those practices in your schools and in your classrooms. Are those things that you're reading about happening in the classrooms and schools that you're working in? And you will apply the growth mindset assessment concepts in the field. And then you are going to start to research data for students in your classroom, because in the field, part of your field experience is going to be an intervention type group. And so you're going to be working using the information from your book studies and what you know about students to create that intervention group. So this week as we get going, it's kind of getting our feet ready for this journey that we're going to be on. So I will put everything in order in the weekly content folders that you should feel comfortable to address. And so towards the top will be the videos always. And then we kind of go through discussion boards and then your book studies and things like that. So you will see here's our introductory video from earlier today that was posted, so you'll be able to watch that. Here's your welcome discussion board. This is an additional discussion board that some of you have already been in, so that's wonderful. It is just kind of an introduction of yourself and getting things going. So please take a moment to introduce yourself. There are a couple of prompts in there that you can respond to, and then those in your group should also respond to some of your posts. Not necessarily in our welcome discussion board am I really looking for others to respond to posts. It would be nice, but you don't have to. In future discussion boards, though, I will look for you to respond to 2 posts. Then one of the things that we're going to talk about is your field experience. So I mentioned in the first video that I need to know if you're already in the field. If you're not pursuing an education degree or a teaching license, you most likely will not want to take this course, because there is an extensive field experience that, if you're not in a school, will be difficult to complete. So the link to the Program of Study and Placement survey will take you here. It's a Google survey, and I need the information of where you are placed currently, if you are or if you aren't. So you're going to put your name here, choose your course. You guys are the 310 online course. Your program of study, I would find it, I would be surprised if there was anyone other than elementary, as this is a TA to teacher for elementary program. However, if you are in another program of study, please choose your level, but most of you will probably be elementary. And then your content area. For elementary, you do not have one. You may have an area of concentration, but that's not a content area. So that is just going to be for middle grade, secondary, and K-12 only. Are you currently placed in a school, either in another field experience, so if you're in another course that has a field experience and you're already placed, or if you're a teacher assistant in the TA to teacher program? Are you in a school or not in a school? There is no option 3. That was a mistake, so I apologize for that. If you are currently in a placement, whether it's because of a field experience or because you're a TA in a school, what school are you placed? So you will submit that information by Sunday at 11:59. And then the next thing that you're going to do is to build your interactive notebook. So this is something that is going to be an ongoing project. You will not have to upload anything to turn it in, because this will be a living, breathing document between you and I. So if you click on here, it will take you into this Google Slides presentation. So Campbell provides you with a Gmail account, which gets you a Google Drive. And so this will live in your Campbell Google Drive. So what will happen is that you are going to make a copy of this. So you'll go in, you'll choose from the file drop down, make a copy, and when you do, it'll prompt you to rename the copy of your document. So you can name it Turner Interactive Notebook, Education 310 Turner Notebook, however you want to name it. Just make sure that your name is in this title here, and that if you want to organize it into a file folder, you have it there. But this is going to be your interactive notebook. So this would, in a sense, be if you don't have interactive notebooks in the school or classroom where you are, this is something that we build as we go. And traditionally, interactive notebooks are done in the classroom with an actual physical notebook. But since we are in a 100% online class, we're going to do a digital version. And most of our schools in this area, Harnett County in particular, I believe are one-to-one. If not, they have devices in each classroom. So this is something that can easily be adapted to your classrooms and your experience. So you will need to, as we go, and as we're building, you will add to the table of contents. So I went ahead and put in what we will have no matter what. So each chapter will have a reflection piece to it. And then as we're building, you will go in and enter the slide numbers because it may be different for each of you depending on how much you write and reflect. For each chapter that we read, you will complete this piece on the left. You're going to make sure that you put the title and author because we're doing 2 books. I want to make sure that we have the correct information. You will type a short note summary of the chapter, and you'll also answer these 4 prompts. Your greatest personal takeaway from the chapter, something that you want to remember from your classroom, a question that came to mind while you were reading, and a quote that you want to remember. If there's any other additional information that you want to add, you just want to take note of, then this space is free for just your note taking. It could also be used when you're in the field to take notes when you're seeing things that you read about in the book that you're seeing in the field, or maybe that you're not, maybe that you're seeing a non-example of. So this area can be used for just notes as you're reading, but also can be used for notes while you're in the field. And then each week has this space down here. Week 1 keyword response bonus, and I talked about that in the introductory video. So there will be within this video a keyword or response that I will ask for you to put there. It is not required, but if you do put it in there, you get 10 extra points. So you will notice that I went ahead and I have one of these set up for each page, for each chapter in each book. So you'll notice here is chapter 4. And chapter 4 starts our week 2. So that's why this response bonus part is here, and it's not in chapter 3 because chapter 3 is part of week 1. So this will take you all the way through the end of our classroom assessment textbook. So this goes to chapter 16. So you will just fill this out as a reflection piece. Now the wonderful thing about a Google document is that you don't have to resend it to me as you save and as you edit and update. It will just always let me see that. So week 1, you are going to read chapters 1, 2, and 3 from your growth mindset book. So you will complete chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Here's where your chapters are listed. So on Sunday, probably Monday, because your deadline is Sunday at 11:59, on Monday I will log in. And when you will also need to share your notebook with me. And so after you do that, I will have access. So really quick, I forgot to mention that. You will need to share. So you will click this button when you create your copy of it. And you can add my email address here. Please use my Dr. Emily A. Turner at gmail.com. That is my Gmail account. Staff does not have a Gmail account for Campbell, so I need you to send it to my Dr. Emily A. Turner at gmail.com. So you will see that. Let me cancel this. This is that email address right here, dremilyaturner at gmail.com. If you can share it with that, that would be great. And then I will just see that as you are building it. If you have any questions about that, I'll kind of touch base on it each week just so we can check in. But if you have questions, please let me know. Then we also have our week 1 discussion board. And this is where, so each week you will need to post your initial comments, but then you also need to reply to at least 2 colleagues' posts. In order to get your full credit, your full points for your discussion board, you have to post and reply to 2 colleagues. We have 9 in our class, so you have plenty of options to reply to. Please, if I could say that you prioritize something to do in the week, I would say try to do your discussion board towards the beginning of the week, the first few days, just because that then lets everyone see your post and have a chance to reply. If we push our discussion boards to Sunday, not everyone is going to have a chance to reply to those. So if you could kind of do your readings throughout the week, your discussion board towards the beginning of the week, that kind of lets everyone have enough time to be able to access that and read that. Let's check in really quick on our syllabus just to make sure that we are on track for week 1, see if there's anything that we forgot. So week 1, you will understand the requirements. All these are those learning outcomes that we saw on that week 1 content folder, so I'm not going to read those again. We talked about your programs and study of placements. That's a survey you need to take. Your district form, I would venture to say no one will have to do that, but if you are not currently placed in a school, then I will need to get you a form to fill out so that you can be placed for your field experience. So do that survey, and then I will get in touch with you if you're not in a school. We talked already in the welcome video about your syllabus and timeline and expectations. I shared with you in this video about your interactive notebook setup, so that needs to be done by Sunday at 11:59, and then you're starting your growth mindset book study. So your growth mindset book study, we're going to start chapters 1 through 3, and then you're going to reply in your notebook, and you have your discussion board. So if I were to kind of lay things out in a to-do list, this is where I would go to look at that. Anything here needs to be done by Sunday at 11:59, and I'll start to check on everything Monday. So I have office hours set aside to check up on anything. So if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to send them. But Monday is kind of my day to check in and make sure that there weren't any questions or to see how the progress is going. So very quickly, let's take a look at our field experience. So you need a minimum, you're not necessarily starting this in week 1, but I want you to have this in the back of your mind as you're kind of getting things ready for the course. You have a minimum of 20 hours in the field. You can have as many hours as you want, but at least 20. If you have 20 to 24 hours, you will get your full 100 points. Granted, you meet all the rubric requirements, but you will get your 100 points. If you have 25 to 29 hours in the field, you start with your 100 points, but you get 5 extra. So if maybe you have a 95 on the rubric because you missed some elements, but you have those 5 extra points because you did 25 to 29 hours, then that brings you to 100%. If you do 30 or more hours, you get that 100% base, depending on how you score in the rubric, and you will get 10 extra points for doing the 30 or more hours. So again, as I mentioned in that first video, here's your average hours per week if you're going, depending on what week you start. So if you have 7 weeks left, if we're not going to do field hours here, then you're going to average between 2.8 and 4.2 hours per week. Now, if you're working in the schools, that's not an issue because you're there. So you will get your hours. But if you're not, then this is going to be the base that you work toward. Please take a look at the Field Experience Intervention Group rubric. I will go into this in detail in week 2. This week, I just want you to kind of get acclimated, answer that survey, get back into the growth mindset book and your interactive notebook set all that up. So we want to make sure that we're meeting those expectations. Next week, I'll kind of delve in a little bit deeper to your field experience. Thank you. Have a great week.